Welcome in, welcome back, welcome to Stream-of-Unconsciousness, where the subject's made up and the words don't matter. Welcome back in. I thought we'd do another little quick toy review of stuff I've added to my collection. As always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. That always helps with, I say it helps with the algorithm. I don't think the algorithm actually cares whether I exist or not, but you know, it helps me out a little bit in saying, hey, look, people like this. So today we're going to cover some additions to my collection from HIYA Toys again, being the Ripley in End movie spacesuit and an actual alien warrior. This one is actually from the Aliens movie rather than the Alien movie, but you know, you do what you can. Interesting details on these. Right now I'm going to have to pull one free of the base because I put them on a base and the bases are linked together. But so we have we have Ripley in her final spacesuit from Alien that she got into in the pod. There's some very, very good detailing on this spacesuit, as you can see, very crisp. One of the interesting things about so much detail in this suit is that it limits the posability of this exquisite, as they say, 1/18th scale figure. I know there is an elbow joint underneath this forearm piece. You can see it. Unfortunately, the forearm piece is so long, extends so far up the arm, that it really limits the mobility there. I'm assuming because, you know, that's just the way that they create action figures, that there's also one here. But again, it extends, the forearm piece extends so far up the arm that there's just no mobility. This particular figure comes with extra hands. As I have noticed with other HIYA Toys exquisite minis that I have collected, the extra hands do not have... So there's a tiny post inside. I'm not going to take the hand off because it's a pain to get back on, but especially on camera. There's a tiny post in here that the hand slips over. So the hands that are currently on, the hole is clearly big enough to have slipped over that post to get the hand on. The replacement hands, and I found this with their Star Trek figures as well, generally the hole in the back of the hand is not big enough. You have to either enlarge that or be very, very careful about how hard you work it on there. To get the new hand on. One of the replacement hands actually holds the grappling hook that she uses to shoot the alien out of the airlock. Interestingly, the top of the helmet can come off, or actually the helmet itself can come off. It is hooked into the backpack, so I have not actually pulled all of that loose because I don't want that to actually break. It's also interesting in that the helmet is so narrow at the neck that it would be difficult to get it out over her face without screwing up her nose. So there's what she looks like more or less inside the helmet. We really don't want to screw things up by pulling the helmet off, although that would be an interesting look. Not the screwing the face up, but the helmet off look. Again, multiple points of articulation, just not as usable as they could or should be, maybe due to the sculpting, which again is excellent, but also gets in the way of the articulation. So we will knock that guy over because that's where we are in this part of the program. Put her back on the feet. So I will say this about, it's not that I don't like the reaction alien. I've lost his head cover. It's just they don't stand up very well without a stand, and I haven't given this one a stand yet. So there you go. Sit, stay. All right. So interestingly, this alien warrior is very spindly. It's very well sculpted. The tail is more or less posable. As we focus, there we go. What I did find upsetting about this particular alien, other than the fact that again it has difficulties standing on its own due to the fact that the ankles do not rock forward enough to put it into a crouch. You can bend the knees, but the ankles don't rock forward enough to accept the crouch. So it sort of has to stand and lean forward. When I received it, the hip joints were extremely loose. So like just picking it up like this, both legs would, the joint inside has, can't really see that. It's not enough light. Aziz, light. It's basically ball and pin, but it's also on a rocker on the inside, so that you can extend the leg down to try and get into more expressive poses, I would say. But the nature of this one, those joints on both hips were so loose that you could just pick it up and the legs would flop down. I ended up having to do a little bit of corrective magic to try and make that behave so that they didn't just flop around, because otherwise it wouldn't stand up correctly at all, unlike the barely standing up that it does now. So you can see the jaw moves slightly, the inner jaw can move in and out, which I honestly did not prepare this demonstration very well, such that I was not prepared to pull it back out on camera. It is a little bit, it's a little bit tricky to get my giant sausage fingers in there, but you get the idea. It comes back out, and the jaw itself can open and close. Again, Alien Warrior from the Aliens movie, not so much the original Alien, as you can tell based on the sculpting of the head. As you know, the original movie had the even though it was like this underneath, it did have the smooth cover over the top of the carapace of the head. Also, interestingly, and I don't know if this, I'm pretty sure this is a production issue, not just the hips. Where's the hole? You guys are just going to do this all day, aren't you? All right, so they're interesting to get back on the pegs. So we're going to have to deal with that in a minute. All right, so there we go. We'll send her back up as well, since her helmet just came on. Don't do it. Interestingly, as you see, they both came with bases that can be integrated, which look like the steel grating of the ship. But also interestingly, for the box, and the boxes are decent. There's not a lot to, I mean, this is basically what the Alien comes with. It comes with the grate and itself. It doesn't have any replacement hands or anything like that. But there is a typo on the box. So you have from Aliens, Exquisite Mini, HIYA Toys, the whole box there. Yeah, we fall over. All right, I'm going to set him down like that for a minute. Now he's going to fall over. All right, everyone's going to fall over. I do notice that there was a typo on the box. And assuming this is, you know, the production box, which it is, I'm assuming that all of the boxes have the Alien Warrior rather than Alien Warrior printed on the box, which I find amusing from a quality control perspective. Anyway, so there you have it. They're very good, very well sculpted minis. I say minis, very well sculpted action figures, although because of the way they're sculpted, the action part of action figure is a tiny bit lacking. We're going to bend his knee just slightly. There we go. I may have to unbend his knees. That's maybe the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. As I said, he had some hip issues. He's also difficult to pose because the feet don't go into a crouch. But other than that, they look good. Personally, it says, I think, 15 plus on the box as far as who they believe is old enough to collect these things. They're really more for collectors, especially the Alien. It's way too fragile for a kid to play with, in my opinion. I feel like that would, based on my handling it, and again having to fix the hip issue as soon as I received it, I really think that it would just break 7 ways from Sunday as soon as a kid tried to do anything with it, and then you have bits of Alien all over the house being picked up by the vacuum cleaner. But again, they look really good. They're really good. They're really well sculpted. There's some issues with the joints. Again, the feet don't rock enough for it to get into a really deep crouch, which would help it pose, I think. But all in all, not upset with my purchase on these. I really do enjoy the way they look, and they make an excellent addition to my Alien collection. I think that's all for now. As always, feel free to like and subscribe and comment. Love the comments, love the likes. Who doesn't love likes, right? Subscribe if you feel like you want to do that, and we will talk to you next time.